Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Burundi, for the first time in NHL history, we have just seen 900 goals by a single player. We're gonna go right to that. I'm gonna hit you with that off the top. Um, we'll talk about that, and then if you have anything else you want to bring up, we absolutely can. But this is obviously huge for the hockey world because everybody, and for once, including Wayne Gretzky, we have never seen this before. 900 goals, backhander from the corner, just like we all expected. Uh, Thoughts on Ovi?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, the first player to and only player to hit 900 career goals. I mean, yeah, exactly how we drew it up. That's typical Ovi fashion to score like that, right? But the biggest thing I guess I could say is, thankfully, this one was at least at home for the Capitals. That was kind of a big thing everybody talked about when Ovi broke the record last year. Was he didn't do it at home and all this, and so at least for getting 900 here, it was it was nice to see that. And again, it's not the record breaking goal, but I think this one matters just as much, and he got to do it at home in front of the Caps fans. So
yeah, no, every guy gets a huge celebration at this point when they hit 500 goals, and every 100 goals after that usually. So you know what? Yeah, it's definitely as big. Nobody's ever hit 900. So, and
it's going to hold for at least 10 years.
Yeah, at least who's poised to be able to beat OV? Like, who knows if any of them do it? But some of the guys on that list, Connor Bedard would be in like 18 years at the earliest. Matthews, Pasternak, Draisaitl, guys like that, and who has the most goals out of all of them? Probably Matthews, and I think he's somewhere between 400 and 500. Like,
yeah,
he might be halfway there. He might be.
Yeah, and this, record, as it's going to continue to grow, the more Ovi plays, he's just going to keep scoring, and it's going to drive up. It's the same. I view it almost the same as Patrick Marleau's, all-time games played record, and where I think it's going to be very tough for someone to beat that, and I think it's going to be very tough for someone to beat this that Ovi's setting, because, again, it comes down to you have to play. Well, first of all, you have to be good enough to, but then you have to play for a long period of time. Like, you got to be able to play for 20 years, and on top of that, you have to be playing at the minimum like 75 games a season. Because you look at Ovi, you look at Marleau, how long they played, and then they were always healthy. They were hardly missing time. Like Ovi at the age of 39 last season, the longest injury of his career, and he still only missed,
was it 8 games? I don't even think,
I think it was a little more than that. I think it was like between 14 to 18 or something like that.
Like, it wasn't,
I think, in there, but it wasn't like, for a broken leg, he barely missed time. So again, a lot of good goal scorers in the league, a lot of guys that are going to get up there, but to realistically even get in there around the area that Ovi's going to be at when he's finished, you have to do it for a long period of time. You have to be healthy enough to get all those games played, to be able to get up to these 900 and whatever he's going to end
goofy
up
numbers.
with.
No, you're absolutely correct in that. Like, we are at a point in the NHL where it's been around long enough and everything that it's simply not possible to beat most of these, at least the all-time records. Obviously, somebody could beat the single game goal record or something like that, but for these career all-time numbers, like, it can't just be a really good peak. I mean, the guy he just beat, Gretzky, for last season for the goals record. Gretzky had like 92 goals, 87. Like, I think he had like 3 or 4 seasons with 80 or more goals. But Ovi had a much healthier career. I think around at this point they've played around the same. I think Ovi's probably on one more season than Gretzky's played in total. So, like, that longevity wins out. Obviously we both know this answer because we're hockey nerds. We know the stats, but like, who has the most points all time as a defenseman in the NHL? I'm assuming you know this.
I'm blanking on the name.
Can you picture him after 22
I'm
years?
blanking. My brain's not working well today. Anyways, continue your point
Ray,
though.
Ray Bork. Ray Bork.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I know you know that. Because Ray Bork played hockey in the NHL for 22, 23 years. Like, a lot of people who don't, troll around and looking at those specific stats like someone like me or you might do, a lot of people you would ask on the streets would probably be like, oh, well, if they know hockey, which in Canada they were more likely to. But if you ask somebody, they would probably say, probably Bobby Orr, right? Bobby Orr didn't even hit 1,000 points because he only played like 650 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was out of his mind while he was playing. But if the health and longevity isn't there, like, you know, he's Bobby Orr's more than 500 points shy of Ray Bork.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I would say the vast majority, probably 80% of people in the hockey community would say Orr is the greatest defenseman of all time. But, you got to have that longevity to be able to hit these records. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things that makes Ovi's record that impressive and
Yeah.
that difficult to beat. Like, people were going, oh, is Matthews going to beat his record? And the instant he got a wrist injury, even if it only held him out for a few games, people were like, oh, that's it. Like, Ovi didn't have his first injury until 14 years into his career, and it was a twisted ankle that he didn't miss a game for. Like, there's a reason
Yeah.
that one of the most popular Washington Capitals news sites is Russian machine never breaks.
I mean, yeah, like that is a huge thing, is longevity and being able to stay healthy. And if you're able to do that, you put yourself in positions to contend for some of these if you're one of the better players in the league. But again, you can be a top 5 player in the league for 15 years running, but if you can't play more than 65 games in a season because of injuries, when it's all said and done, you're not going to be up there in the ranks with some of these other guys again, because in terms of like the numbers, at least the skill
Yeah.
is different. But yeah, that's what's helped Ovi to get here in terms of being, again, one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. You could say one, and yeah, I would agree with you.
Most people aren't arguing.
And yeah, just being able to stay healthy and being good for so long. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll just say congrats to Ovi on 900, and every goal here just continues to add to his legacy, and we'll see where he
We'll see where he ends up
to. And they did get the puck back from Binnington, because I know he tried to he tried to sneak away with that one, but the refs weren't having it. They were able to track it down.
That was really funny. I liked seeing that. I know there's a lot of people who are like, they shouldn't do that, but like, there's been plenty of big goals that, like, I know Marchand's done it a couple times where somebody scores a big goal in the playoffs and he goes and grabs it and immediately throws it into the crowd. And he's like, try getting that back, idiot. And I love the fact that Binnington wasn't like, I'm going to piss everybody off by chucking this out of here. He was like, if I can get away with this, this is going to be my kid's college fund.
Yeah, yeah, that puck would be worth quite a bit, but they did get it back for Ovi. Yeah. He gets to take it home and add to his collection of.
I was gonna say Ovi would buy it back from him for his hockey museum that he's planning on building when he's
he probably retired. Would buy it back if he had to, absolutely. But we're at the 9-minute mark of the episode here already. I feel like that's very fitting to move on from 900. Do you want to hit us with another milestone here? I think this is the only other major milestone that happened lately.
Yeah, the only one that I saw floating around anyway was Nazem Kadri for the Calgary Flames. Had a goal last night in his 1,000th career game. Did you see the shirts that the team was wearing for it? Did you see the shirts that the Lightning wore when Kucherov hit 1,000 points like a week ago?
No.
They were very similar.
Very similar.
Well, because both their names, Kadri and then Kucherov, his last name, 1K games, 1K points. So they both had a big 1K and a 1K Cooch, 1K Kadri. It was they have the
So
same
just kind of
they have the same graphic designer for sure. I thought that was funny, but
yeah. I never even saw the ones that did for Kucherov. But I mean,
I don't
yeah,
even
it's
know if
kind
they're
of the
selling them at many places, so don't know if it matters that much, but
yeah.
it's a good game
But I
for the
mean, yeah,
Flames.
yeah, good win for the Flames over the Blue Jackets. Obviously, it's always kind of cool when a player can, they can do the whole ceremony right in their thousands game. We see a lot of guys where, the thousands game will be on the road or whatever, and it's maybe the start of the road trip. So it's not
Yeah.
till like 2 weeks later or 6 games later, some they're back at home and can do it all. It's kind of nice and cool to do it all in one night. And yeah, Kadri getting a big goal in the game. Obviously, that must have been a pretty good feeling for him to score in that moment. And I mean, yeah, again, 1,000
Some
games isn't easy to do in the NHL, but Kadri joins
kind of surprised
the
he's
list
there
here now.
already, frankly. Like, I he is getting up there in age, I guess, but I don't know. Something about him doesn't scream old the same way a lot of players that were drafted in the same year as him do. It's just one of those guys where like I just wouldn't, even though I very actively, as a guy who lives in Calgary, know that he's getting up there, and I'm advocating that they should probably move on from him because of that. You know, it's still easy to forget sometimes. And he plays a fairly tough game. So like
Yeah.
getting to 1,000 games while doing that,
Well,
also very
I've been
impressive.
on the camp since the beginning of last season that they need to trade Kadri.
Yeah.
Um, Funny enough, though, I mean, well, we can just talk about it as a part of this that
Yeah.
Flames owner Murray Edwards, and this just came out this morning as well of the day we're recording, has reportedly been telling people that he has no interest in Kadri being traded and would like Kadri to remain in Calgary. And I mean, at the end of the day, the owner doesn't make the call. The GM will do what is best for the team. So I don't look into this as much because this is kind of the way that
It might be
most owners
a little bit of good
go.
business too, right? Like
Well, I
we've
mean,
we've
yeah,
seen
and
plenty of GMs be like, "This guy's off the table. We're not trading him." 2 weeks later, "Oh, I got a better offer than I thought."
mhm.
Like it's so easy that people forget about things so quickly that it's so easy for them to be like, "Oh yeah, I just went back on that because who the hell cares? I made a good trade."
Yeah,
Like,
well, and with the owners especially because the owners are heavily invested, or most are heavily invested within their teams, and it's about for them it's making money, and your best player, that's your biggest moneymaker. I think Kadri's
well,
probably top. He might be one, I don't know for sure, but he's probably easily top three in jersey sales for the team. I mean, again, he is your best player, so he gives you a better chance to win more games. And if you're a better team than you would be without him, you're going to still have more fans show up to games, and so it
and
makes sense from an owner's perspective, but for
yeah,
a team perspective, where the Flames are at, you have to trade him this season.
yeah. He's going to fall off soon. We know he will at some point. He's 35.
Well,
I
it's
believe he's
it's not
35.
even. I
And
mean, there
the
there
longer
is that,
contract
but
too, like you could get value back for like there's just so many reasons to want a trade. And I I do think this is one of those things where he just sees the bottom line. He sees they sell Kadri jerseys and whatnot. He led them in goal
yeah,
scoring, probably in points, I would assume, last year. And like we also know that despite the fact that they have uh mostly gone through a retool slash rebuild, the owner Murray Edwards has very openly said, "We're not going through a rebuild." He doesn't want to do that. Um,
it's going to have to be a retool.
so
Um,
they kind of did it a little under his nose. I don't think he fully knows enough about hockey. I mean, he's a billionaire, right? Like this is their side project at most. There's a reason they hire other guys to manage it.
but again, it's also the retool for the Flames because again, it's not a rebuild, a retool. It was forced. They were forced into it, right? Because you have this great season. You've got at the time you the best line in hockey, and
Like
then
plus
before you know it,
130.
it's Matthew Tkachuk demands a trade. Johnny Gaudreau says, I'm leaving. I love my time here, but I'm moving on." And so just like that, you lose your two wingers on your top line, and then your centerman in Lindholm. He's like, "Well, why do I want to stay now?" He doesn't want to resign. He wants to leave. And then Hannafin does the same. And if Gaudreau and Kachuk stayed there, very differently, probably everybody's like, "Yeah, I'll stay. Like we've got a good chance to win." But
Yeah.
it kind of became out of the Flames' hands of being forced into it. And it would sell more jerseys than Kadri if you get a Gavin McKenna. And if you have Kadri,
Yeah.
I have a very tough time seeing the Flames finishing in at the very bottom. I know they're there right now, but over time, I think they'll start to put some wins together, and they'll still be a bottom team, but I don't think they'll be at the very bottom.
I think even with Kadri, they're probably still a bottom 5 team, if I'm honest. I
Yeah,
think
but they're
without
not. They're
Kadri,
not
you
the
cement it,
bottom.
and
But they're
I
not
think
the bottom team.
yeah,
Is what I'm saying. Like you want to, even if you don't get Gavin McKenna, you still want to be the bottom team because then,
yeah,
worst case scenario, you're picking third overall. Whereas if you finish fifth, if the draft lottery goes the way it did last year, you're now picking seventh. And the
yeah,
Flames need that top 3 pick. They need, or even in the top 4, like they need a surefire, you know,
yeah,
stud that they're going to get because they got a lot of good prospects, but they don't have, in terms of forwards at least, they don't
yeah,
have that number one guy.
yeah,
And it might be tough to get that if you keep Kadri.
yeah. And at the end of the day, you're also not only does that help where your draft stock ends up, you will get something back for Kadri. You're not just getting rid of
Mm-hmm.
him for free. Like you'll
Yeah,
probably get
you'll get.
back at least a first rounder. Like he's a good player at the very minimum right now with term on a very reasonable deal. Especially if
Mhm.
they retain, I would not be shocked in the slightest to see them get 2 firsts back from a playoff team that's going to be picking 20th or later.
But I
Two
think if
two
you're the
firsts.
Flames, you'd probably rather try to get a first this year and then a pretty good prospect, I think.
Yeah.
You probably like to try and get somebody that can be in the fold because again, like first round picks are nice, but assuming you're trading into a contender and you get a guy in the 25 to 32 range, they're probably 2 to 3 years away still from
Yeah.
playing in NHL, and then 5 years from being an impact player where you could get a guy by as early as next year, could be a regular in your lineup and decent. The biggest thing though is so Kadri has a 13 team no trade list right now. If the Flames hold on to him for this season, and July 1st, it will become a full no move. So, at least here now, if you're trading him, there's 13 teams you can't trade him to, but you can work out a deal that works for the Flames and for Kadri and for the team you're trading him to. Whereas, if you get to that July 1st and then you decide to trade him, first of all, you're not going to get as much value for him because you're going to get more if you trade him mid-season around the deadline to a team wanting to win the cup that year. And then Kadri holds all the cards if you trade him in the offseason. Because then he has
Yeah.
to waive to go to a specific team. And I don't, these normally don't get leaked very often, but I've got a couple teams here, and I just want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
So as far as it sounds like the Carolina Hurricanes are on Kadri's 13 team no trade list. So
Very interesting.
Kadri can't go to the Canes unless he always can agree to waive it. But
Yeah.
if he put Carolina on there, I'm assuming he's planning on staying away from there.
That's a very
And
interesting team,
Montreal,
obviously, because they have a very good lineup. They're, past 5, 6 years, they've been a very good team. I wonder if that's one of those things that hinges on, they don't have the greatest facilities, at least for the away teams, very notorious for that. Like, I wonder if it's the owner is reportedly rather stingy with a lot of his players.
yeah, there could be a couple
We
different
gotta
things
wonder
for
why,
sure.
but that's just not a team
And
you hear about a
then
lot.
Montreal and Vancouver are not on the no trade list. So if either
Vancouver was
team
one
were
of the
interested in
wow.
Kadri, he could could be traded there.
Canadians make
Yeah, either
sense.
one
It
of those
would
two
be.
teams.
I definitely would have guessed. You only have 13, and like, there's not a ton of bad teams right now. Like, we're getting to the point where, like, I don't think the Sharks are going to be on as many no trades. I don't think the Ducks are going to be on as many no trades. Like,
Mhm.
I definitely would have penciled in Vancouver as one of those, just because it looks like they don't have a lot of direction. They got a weird whole bunch of stuff going on.
I almost wonder if it could be something like though that Kadri's fine going to any Canadian team though, because again, at least kind of the nice thing for Kadri is
Yeah,
obviously you always want to win. You know, you want to win as many cups as possible,
yeah,
but at least he's got that cup, so it's not he doesn't have to solely go in and cup chase at least. Uh,
yeah.
but
I definitely would assume that Toronto is not on his no trade. Um, I just figure, I don't know. It seems like a fit. It didn't seem like he really wanted to leave. It seemed like he kind of forced his way out through suspension after suspension in the playoffs, whether deserved or not. I I could see a trade where he ends up back there. I could definitely see him going to Montreal. Like,
yeah, I think
the
Colorado's
one thing,
probably not. I don't think a reunion there at this point is going to work now, given kind of what Colorado has at this point, and that being, you know, you have Brock Nelson now, and you're
he's
paying
not
him
really
quite a
working.
bit for a
He's not
while.
really working out that well for him,
No, but
but they've got him.
you've got him on a long deal, so you kind of have to.
They're a team that wants to win though. They can get pretty ruthless with it. I wouldn't fully write them off. I could see a
No,
world
but
where they make something happen.
I doubt it. It's
And they've got a couple young prospects that the Flames would want.
they got
But
like one because
mm,
they kind of gave up quite a bit to get Brock Nelson last year from the Islanders. So,
did
and the way
they?
Brock Nelson's,
I
yeah,
forgot they did.
they gave up a first and Richie.
Oh, right. I forgot that they
So
didn't just sign him in free agency, honestly.
yeah, they gave up a first and their top prospect, and
Mm.
it hasn't worked out the greatest. I mean, again, obviously, Kadri could go back to Colorado, but given where the Avs are at now, I don't see it. Like a team like Montreal makes a lot of sense.
They're
Toronto
looking for a second line
could make
center.
sense.
He's one of the best second
He
line
fits
centers
it.
you could get.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see overall what the Flames end up doing with Kadri, but I think he should be traded
Yeah.
at some point this season. Has to be
In
this season.
Montreal, I haven't heard his name come up in a bit. How's David Reinbacher progressing? Like, is it starting to look
If
sketchy? Is he just a defenseman who's
I
taking
believe
time to
correctly, he's
develop?
injured
Like,
again.
ooh, you do not love to see it.
He's played 2 games in the AHL this year.
Oh, so he's at the point where he's in the AHL. He's not even in
Well, he was
junior or
2
anything.
years ago. We played 10, 11 games in the AHL 2 years ago. Last year, he only played 10 games all season in the AHL. And then he got injured in training camp this year and has played 2 games in the AHL. So
Yeesh.
it's a lot of injuries already, which are kind of piling up. So it's kind of hard to say
Yeah, that's rough.
where he's sitting at progression wise.
But we'll
Stuff.
have to keep an eye on. Congrats to Kadri on game 100 of his career, and we'll
1,000.
1,000 of his career, and we'll 6-7, and we'll see if Murray Edwards decides to allow him to be traded, or if the GM just decides to say fuck it and trade him.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. And it big kind of controls the future of the Flames for the next while. I think it's a big move for them.
Yep.
We got a couple more things on the on here for news wise. Where do you want to hop to next?
We might as well go right
Got
down
a
the
couple
list here
things.
to Minnesota. Minnesota beating Nashville the other day 3-2 in overtime on a very bizarre goal. I guess before that happened, Nashville tied the game up with like I think it was point 0.3 seconds left. Stamkos with a buzzer beater to send it to OT. It
Yeah.
was a home game for the Preds, so the building was absolutely rocking for that. And then they, I can't even really say get scored on in OT. The puck never even went in the net, but guy got it in front. The goalie had pushed off of the post. The net started kind of falling and spinning away, and I think the puck would have went in where he ended up putting it. And like they just awarded a goal because they deemed that the goalie purposefully pushed the net off. But man, for the not only for it to end like that in OT, for it to end for the away team to win in OT like that, especially with how good the game had been up until that point, very
Mhm.
deflating.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because this doesn't really ever happen. These types of ones, at least in overtime, where again, it's a big point between these two teams. I do wonder because it was in Nashville,
Yeah.
right? So their own ice, their own barn, all that stuff. I wonder if it was in Minnesota and it happened to Nashville, if it would have been different then.
Why is that?
Because in Nashville, it's like it's their rink, right? If it's like, oh, the net wasn't put in properly, it's like that's on your guys that are here. Because Saros
Mm,
didn't purposely push it off. He kind of slid over to the post, put his skate on it. It looked like it moved pretty easily off.
It
Like it
definitely
almost
looked
didn't
like it
look like
moved
the net
easy.
was properly set in place there.
It did
And
kind. I think the reason they called it is because it was his arm that looked like it either dislodged it or is very close to the post when it dislodged. I don't know if it was his skate or his arm, but as he's pushing off, he kind of flails his arm back a bit, either to push it off or while it was getting pushed off. And
mm,
I think the ref saw that and thought that
so I
he reached
never I
over
never
and
saw
shoved
the
it.
I never really saw much of the arm, but if it was there, then I mean, then it's a good goal. It's tough
I
for
was gonna say
Nashville, but it's
it.
like what we talked about last episode. If it's a 2-on-1
Yeah,
and you shove the net off, I mean, like you're in overtime here. You're looking like you might get scored on. No, just push the net off. And I mean, if that's what the ref saw, then I mean, good on him for being like, well, no, you
it
pushed it up. You thought there's going to be a whistle, and the puck pops right out front, and it
it was
goes
the
in
ref
where it
in the
would be.
corner closest to the arm and the post that got pushed off that made that call too. So I think that's why it got called. Frankly, I'm very in the middle. It's a lame call. It's a lame way to end a hockey game, but I'm teetering towards it was the right call the more I
Yeah.
watched it. Um, it very much looked like the most relevant opinion online was that it wasn't a good call. Like I was seeing a lot of like Minnesota fans being like, I don't think they should have called that, but I think it's also just like it's kind of in your DNA to be like, I didn't see the puck enter the net even after it went off. Like it doesn't feel right. But
Mhm.
at the same time, it's hard to say whether or not he did on purpose, but at the end of the day, a guy did kind of have 40 to 50% of the net empty and he ended up pushing it off. So like maybe it should have been a penalty shot or a power play instead of the awarded goal, but
I would have been fine with either a power play being given to Minnesota or a penalty shot. Yeah, but
yeah. I
even
think
them
that's what
calling it
most
a
people
good
were
goal,
arguing.
I'm fine with it. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what the ref saw that Saros kind of used his arm to push that off, I mean, like then yeah, it's a goal
That's
then.
that's that's the call.
And
So,
it's especially tough for Nashville as they lost their previous game the other night against Vancouver in overtime with only 1 second left on the clock. That was Brock
yeah.
Boeser's overtime winner. So a couple tough overtime losses for Nashville, but that's part of the game. That's the way it goes. And well, don't push. You're not off in overtime. I guess that's the biggest takeaway
Yeah.
we can get from it.
Yeah.
We
But
can move on from that,
we can
as
move
there
on
wasn't much
from
else
that.
to say within that. Um, I guess we got a couple events that are coming up soon.
Yeah.
Hit us with the first one here.
The Dallas
Both these were
Stars.
confirmed over the last week.
Yeah, the Dallas Stars are going to host a Stadium Series game at AT&T Stadium in 2027. That I believe is the Dallas Cowboys stadium, correct?
Yeah,
So I don't even think it's in Dallas either, though. I think that's in like Arlington or something. It's like slightly outside of Dallas, but either
I think
way, I mean,
it's right in there, isn't it?
I think it's like kind of like a Chestermere situation. I think it's
So
like
just outside Calgary.
yeah, it's like just outside of Dallas, but like so it's like technically a different municipality or something.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, Arlington. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, notoriously one of the nicest and most expensive arenas in existence, frankly. Like the Dallas Cowboys are one of the richest sports franchises in the world. They got a great stadium there, so that's gonna be really fun, and hopefully they can fill up all those seats out there and bring a bunch of hockey and hype to that
I
area,
think
especially with them being a good team.
yeah, I think they'll have no problem selling it out because it's with these Stadium Series games, people from all over all kind of travel for them because they're just such a great event and a great weekend thing you can do. Um, so I'm happy for the Dallas Stars because again, they're kind of one of those teams that don't really get the opportunity a lot for these because of the area they're in and whatnot. Um, I don't even know who I'm curious to know who they're gonna end up playing in this
I
game
was
because
gonna
obviously
say,
this game is over a year away. It won't be until
do you think
probably like around February of 2027 or sometime in there.
do you think they give it to Vegas? They go Vegas, Dallas, maybe,
They might. They honestly just might.
maybe Colorado, something like that.
Nah, now that you put it there, yeah, I could really see it being Vegas
I'm just trying to look something up here because I'm thinking that
because you're gonna want to pick a good team to go up against
yeah,
the Stars, right? Um, and so
it's probably going to be a
you
Western
look at the
Conference
teams in the
rival.
Central. Winnipeg makes sense, and Colorado makes sense because you're not gonna go with Chicago because they're not gonna be there yet. You're not gonna go with Nashville. You're not gonna go with St. Louis.
I could see
You're
Chicago. They love getting them
probably.
in there.
I mean, yeah, but at the
They're not
same
my first
time,
choice, but like I wouldn't be overly shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked. No, but it kind of seems the way that they want to try to do these stadium series more is trying to get at least a competitive game
Yeah,
between the teams. I mean, Vegas makes sense for every reason. Because they're a big market. They're popular. Um,
hell, if a
a
team
good
like
team
Anaheim
like
makes the
there.
playoffs and they haven't chosen by then,
That's too much of a random pick, though. It's just a little bit too much. Like if you're gonna do Pacific
I
team,
guess
you would do a Vegas. They might even just do Edmonton.
I was gonna say, in Edmonton,
But I also feel like if they were gonna do Edmonton, like they would just be like, we're just gonna give Edmonton another one of their own because the one they had a few years ago with the Flames was a pretty big success.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting. I think you probably are right. I think it might actually just end up being Vegas,
yeah,
and they'll run with that. But hey, again,
Vegas
though, like
or
good on the Dallas
Colorado if
Stars.
they decide to give Vegas their own at home,
Yeah,
because
because
that's
Colorado
almost
would make a
equally
lot
as
of
likely.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Stadium Series games, it reminded me actually when we were talking about the milestones, we didn't mention it, but Corey Perry hitting 1,400 career games. Um,
Oh shit! He just did.
did
Yes.
you see the graphic that
Oh,
the
I
LA
sure
Kings
did.
put out?
I sure did.
For those who haven't seen it at home, it has Corey Perry, and it's got 1,400 games at the bottom, and then it's got a cutout of him from each team he's been on at one point or another throughout his career. And somebody a couple people online were pointing out that the picture they used from his time in Dallas was it was like the picture of him from behind when he's walking out after he got ejected from the Stadium Series game.
In like the first
Like
like 2 minutes or
I was gonna
something.
say, it was like in the first 2 minutes. It was like right at the start,
The world's longest walk of shame
and they used the
that
picture
Perry
from
had
that
to do.
in his thank you thing from his current team. So
Yeah,
that
I thought that was
that was
awesome
pretty
to
funny.
include that in. I thought, yeah, because that was just such an iconic moment, even if it was
Yep,
maybe not for the greatest reasons for Corey Perry.
he'd
It's
probably
still
tell
one
you
of the
that's
most
funny.
iconic moments we've gotten in the last while in the NHL. So
Yeah,
I thought it was cool that was included. I got a good laugh out of it, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally forgot about Corey Perry, but yeah, congrats to Corey Perry. 14,000 games. Still searching
14,000.
for, or sorry, 1,400.
He's
Um,
crushing Marlowe. Yep,
anyway, anyway, um, the
we're
New York
we're we're
Islanders.
doing worse with numbers as we go, but that's okay.
It's been a rough day for me, but we're still making it through. The New York Islanders, we talked about them before and how they were going to get the All Star game in 2026. That got scrapped because of the Olympics. They were going to do a send off event, and that got scrapped in 2026. But the NHL has now confirmed that the New York Islanders will be getting the 2027 All Star game at UBS Arena.
This was always the right call.
Yeah, I mean, you had to go to them after you ripped two events away from them. Like you had no other choice but to go with them, and it's one of the newer arenas in the league. Um, people like dislike the All Star game, and I get it, but you still have to do something each year.
It does feel like I've not been a fan of the All-Star game for a couple years at this point, several at this point, but like I don't know. It
Yeah.
feels weird if you don't do something like that. Every big league does something like this. Like
Hmm.
I don't know, like it just feels like it's so funny because it's not a big serious event. It's a big goofy
Hmm.
event where the guys fuck around and, they show off some skill and they do whatever. But also it feels I don't know, I can only think of the word like bush league. It kind of feels kiddie league to not do it despite the actual event not mattering that much. I don't know. Something about it makes it
Yeah.
feel like a larger than life league even if the event isn't great.
Yeah, and it's slowly starting to become more of a thing to kind of appeal to the younger side of fans. The
Yeah.
one thing I will say is like you can't just run Four Nations every year
No.
because the spark of it will die off pretty quickly. It's also, unfair that you only choose these four countries to get to do it.
You'd
And
also
on
see
top
a
of
ton of
that,
load management from players.
that and on top of that, we already now know that, in 2026 we're getting, we're getting the Olympics. And then in 2028, they're going to be bringing back the World Cup of Hockey. So then every 2 years, you're either getting the World Cup of Hockey or the Olympics. And the World Cup of Hockey, let me tell you, it is going to be better overall than the Four Nations because there will be more teams and all that. Maybe the pure raw excitement won't be matched because again, Four Nations was like
It's
the
hard.
first time we got best on best in 10 years. So like you
I
can't
don't think
compete with that
I don't
in
think
terms
people
of
want to
that.
hear it. I don't know if the Olympics are going to get there, man. The Four Nations fucking rocked, dude. The
And
Four
and
Nations.
that's the thing, right?
I
I
didn't
think
take it
the
seriously when it started. The second the puck dropped, you could tell these guys fucking wanted it. And they will in the
Mhm,
Olympics, but like, you know, you're not going to get the same obviously you're not going to get the fighting because that's like an ejection in the Olympics. There's
mhm.
going to be less hitting, which I mean, I don't think
And
that's
and that's a big
necessarily
difference,
going to
right?
make the hockey worse, but it's going to not feel as intense. Like it was a perfect storm for Four Nations too. Like
And that's
like
the thing
the
is
political
it
climate
can't be
between Canada and the States was at an all-time craziness at that time. It's still not great, but like it peaked right when that was going on. And that added
mhm.
like, we kind of felt it with the Blue Jays in the World Series. Like it added these stakes that all these people that wouldn't have watched otherwise are watching and care so much about the result. Like
Yeah,
I definitely
and
think the Olympics are going to
yeah.
be incredible, and frankly, I think the floor for it, even if it's a shitty Olympics, is 80% of what the Four Nations was. Like the floor is still so high because it's going to be so good, but
One
I don't
and
know. The
that's
Four
the
Nations
thing
did
is
feel extra special.
the Four Nations was again, like you said, it was the perfect storm of the way, you know, completely everything lined up. And I'll be on record saying that the Four Nations would people wouldn't be looking at the same way if it wasn't Canada and the US in the finals.
Oh,
Because
100%.
again, it was
100%.
with everything that was going on between those two countries, that was the matchup that just it needed to happen. Um, but I do believe that because of how much Four Nations kind of just grew the sport of hockey in general and created new fans, I think they're gonna really take a look at how they're gonna do the All Star game going forward. Because you're only gonna have an All Star game,
Two years, right?
every 2 years. Yeah, it's gonna kind of be
Like
the year
it would
probably in
be,
between the Olympics and the World Cup.
yeah, it would kind of be in a 4 year cycle. It would be Olympics, All Star Game, World Cup of Hockey, All Star Game, back to Olympics, and that would kind of be the cycle that
Yeah.
I think they'd be going for, right? So,
Yeah,
and
so
if
I
you have
do
2 years
think
in
they'll
between
look at
each All
ways
Star game,
to.
gives you a little more time to, well, first of all, care, but second of all, maybe they can have more time for some new ideas too, in how they want to do some of the skills competitions, some of the extra stuff. Like half
Mhm.
of the entertainment from that weekend comes from every team's mascot being there. And like social media is a blast for the All Star weekend, even if nothing fun happens on the ice. Like that,
Yeah.
all the mascots are doing great stuff. All the guys that are there are doing media availabilities and like all that stuff. Like,
Mhm. Yeah, so I do believe that they are going to improve the All-Star game format. Again, nothing is ever going to capture the magic of the Four Nations. Like it's just again, the way it lined up was perfect. But I do still have high hopes for the All-Star game, and again, they do have lots of time to kind of look at everything and figure out how they can make this an event that people are actually going to care about and try and get the same amount of people that traveled all over for Four Nations to do that for the All Star game. I don't know how. Like that's a discussion for another time. Um, but all in all, good on the Islanders for getting what they deserved. I mean, this was
yeah.
you kind of had to go back to them after it got ripped away, and now they'll
And
get this, and
this is going to be way
we'll
better
see.
than an Olympic send off, too. Like, if
Yeah,
they had the Olympic
absolutely.
send off, it, frankly, it would have bombed. I can't see a world where it doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
were they planning on doing it before an Islanders game, or were they doing it as a separate, its own thing?
Yeah, it was like its own thing. It was a thing over the weekend, like just before all the players left for the Olympics.
So what? They all go out on the ice, probably in their full gear except their helmets, even though they're not doing anything, and they wave to the crowd, and then
I have no idea what they were
like
planning to do. I
it.
can't even throw out ideas because
I
they never
yeah,
even put anything out of how they were going to do it.
I don't think they had anything planned. I think they realized we don't know what to do. Like it makes so much more sense that the last the last home game that Tampa has before the Olympics, they do a big thing probably before the game, and they're like, you know, good luck to John Cooper and Point and Hagel and Sorelli and all the guys going to the Olympics representing the country. Good luck to Gensel. And like each team does that for each of their guys that are going. Like it's short, it's sweet, but you get that home crowd involvement. If everyone's going to UBS Arena, like,
I think it was
who,
designed to be more of like a just a big media thing
yeah.
more than
Like I
anything.
don't,
Like I think it was more targeted towards a whole media thing as opposed to stuff for the fans.
yeah.
And then yeah, they scrapped it, and again, I think that was the right call because
Yeah.
it just wasn't going to be anything worth going to or checking out probably.
Yeah. And there's plenty of players that probably are like, once their schedule is cleared and they get to go to where's the Olympics? Milan? Like they would want to go straight there and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
got to go up to fucking Long Island first and do the thing and then go across the Atlantic." Like it would be annoying for everybody involved basically. And
yeah.
even the Islanders are getting something better out of it now because of this All-Star game. So it was the right call.
But we can move on from the New York Islanders and getting their All-Star game back. St. Louis Blues. Want to hit us with the Blues news? Blues news we got.
Blues news. Jordan Kyrou is expected to be a healthy scratch tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. You never want to be a healthy scratch against the Buffalo Sabres because that's free points. Kyrou has 4 goals and 4 assists for 8 points in 14 games this season, so underperforming for his standards a bit, but not horrendously. But you know, it would not be a shock at all if, because their coach is Jim Montgomery now, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not above benching a guy if their effort isn't there, if their defensive play isn't up to standard either. Like, so I could definitely see, he's just not quite getting what he wants out of Kyrou, and this is a wake up scratch. So
Yeah,
we'll see what it does for him.
All I can say is I don't have any, issues with it. Like, it's part of the game, and I'm always a belief that just because you're one of the better players on your team doesn't mean you're immune to, discipline.
Yeah.
It's the same way as, what was it, a week ago? Matthew Barzal, who's obviously one of the Islanders' best players, but he was late in the morning, slept through his alarm, and was going to be a healthy scratch, but then some travel issues and whatnot for other players. He ended up playing, but if that didn't happen, again, the Islanders are going to be healthy scratching one of their better players, and I think it is important to hold players accountable. Again, in this case, it doesn't sound like Jordan Kyrou did anything necessarily wrong to be as this is a punishment, but I think you're right, more of just kind of a wake up call. And
yeah,
he either comes back after being a healthy scratch and he has a lot more energy and he's productive and producing, or he's the same thing and then you figure it out from there. But I don't think this is a case of that people think he's going to be traded immediately or the Blues have given up on him. I think it's just production hasn't been there, or effort hasn't been there, whatever it is. Let's just
it's a bit of a wake up call to the whole team as well. He's one of their better players. Like, if Kyrou gets scratched, any of you can get scratched. Like,
anyone's, and Montgomery's not afraid to do that, and maybe that's what the Blues need, because again,
a lot of the better teams in the league do this every once in a while. Like, it's not super often, but
mm-hmm.
I think it was 2 seasons ago, the same exact thing as Barzal. Braden Point slept in, missed the morning skate, and he ended up getting benched in a game against the Bruins for it. And like, even last season, Kucherov had a bad two bad turnovers in a row. He got benched for the remainder of the period, and that's where we got the Kuch sitting like this with his gloves on the bench picture.
Oh,
that picture is
actually
that picture is that's not even a penalty. That's him on our bench after we scored on the power play, and he was pissed he wasn't out there for the power play.
He wasn't out there for the power play
because he was getting benched. Like, I know there was at least one other elite team that scratched one of their major guys against the Lightning in the past few years. I think it was Vegas. I think it was Shea Theodore, maybe, I want to say, got scratched for a game, and I don't even remember what for, but after the game, he was like, yep, whatever he did, he was like, I fucked up, but we're moving past it. I'll be in next game, and not an issue after that.
Yeah.
You gotta hold everyone to the same standard.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You can't, just because a guy's a better player, you can give them special treatment to be lazy out there or do whatever. You got to keep everybody accountable, otherwise.
Yeah,
just that's you look like Buffalo. It's just chaos.
Effort. Yeah. As soon as the effort's not there, it's like, what are we even doing here then?
Yeah. Last bit of news here before we dive into our final segment here. Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini are officially, the two of them are tied for the league lead in points with 21 to start the season here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Um, I mean, I knew Celebrini recently was right up there. 1 or 2 episodes ago, we had talked about how he was still in the top five. McDavid, not exactly a surprise to be in league lead for points, but he was down at 14 points like 5 days ago or something. But he's put up 7 points in his last three, so now he's up there as well. Um, Man, I mean, you've got to watch it firsthand, but man, Celebrini is the real deal, and people really knew it
Yeah.
before. But like Bedard had this great rookie season, and then didn't do much in his sophomore year. Maybe regressed a little, but he wasn't bad. But he didn't take a next step like this.
Yeah, and if people want to take this as bias, that's fine. But I don't think this is. I think we're at a point now where going into the season, we were having the conversation of, is Celebrini going to be on Team Canada or not? Does he make it? Yes or no?
Yeah,
I think we've gone past that now. And we're at a point where we're now talking about is Celebrini going to be in the top six or the bottom six for Team Canada at this point, honestly, because he plays just such a good overall game. And to be able
yeah.
to, again, he's tied for the league leading points on a not very good Sharks team. And he's very similar to a Sidney Crosby level player. Really doesn't take a shift off, brings high energy, can be good on both ends of the puck. And so I think Celebrini's probably going to be on Team Canada, and
I
a
think
very
so
good
too.
chance that he could be featured in their top six, playing with a maybe not McDavid, but I could see them
I
doing
could see Crosby for sure.
Celebrini with McKinnon and Crosby, and I think
How are his
they
face-off
would love
numbers?
to run that. Um, I know the one game was really good. That was the Minnesota game because what was he? They were saying he was like 16 for 20 or something.
Oh, jeez,
Uh, Face-offs for this season, 49.8%. So right around
pretty close to
right around
even.
50. Yeah.
Um, my initial instinct is that I think you're absolutely correct. I think at this point, somebody else. I think he is no longer trying to get in. I think we're past that. I think it is somebody would have to prove why he couldn't be in. Like somebody else has to surpass him, but like I don't even know if he's on the chopping block at this point. I don't even know if he would be the next 1 or 2 guys to get off the team. So I for me, he seems so solid on that 3C role. Um,
See,
I don't.
I feel like he would play on the wing. They'd put him on the wing.
That's the thing. If they go wing, he might get in that second line, but I just feel like because he's so good of a two-way player, that works against him getting into the top six because it's Team Canada's top six. You're going out there to score goals. And not that he can't. He's tied with McDavid for most of the points, but I feel like they will want him in a shutdown and scoring third line, and then it'll be like a full shutdown fourth line,
Um,
like a
maybe, but I feel
Celebrini,
like you kind
like
of
a
got your
Sam
centerman
Reinhart, and
locked
somebody.
up though of McDavid, McKinnon. You've still got Point. You've got Suzuki, who I think is going to make the team, and he's going to play down the middle. Um,
Oh, you know what?
so
Suzuki,
I think
Celebrini, Sam Reinhart. It's a pretty good scoring defensive third line.
it's not awful.
I think after they scored
Yeah,
uh the OT winner, I think at least to start training camp or game 1, they're going to stick with Crosby, McKinnon, and whoever they put with them, and then that top line of Marner, Point, McDavid.
but that top line was.
It was it was it was
I'm
sketchy
always
throughout.
weary
It
about
they
running this
started
the exact same thing back though, especially because there was just the four nations to run back
yeah,
the same because there was
but
at
I think
some
that's where you
points
start
the
and then make changes from there,
yeah,
assuming the
because at
roster is
some
mostly the
points
same.
the lines looked good, but then there was others where I can't remember who the third was, but whoever was playing with Hagel and Sorelli, the one game they looked really
Uh,
good,
Sam
but
Bennett.
then Who?
Sam Bennett.
Really? Oh, it was Bennett? Oh, okay. Well, okay, so Sam Bennett, because it was
At least in the game where they looked good. That was when Bennett scored. I'm pretty sure those were the other two out there with him.
yeah, but then it was the Finland game, like they were,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
to be
Well,
polite, fucking awful in that game. And so, again, I'm always just weird about running the same. I think you've got your kind of your starting point, but you don't be
that's more
married
what
to
I
the
mean.
idea of like, this is how we have to do it.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think it would be set in stone by any. It wasn't even in that final game. They started the game with Marner, McDavid, Point, and halfway through the game they changed it to like McDavid. I don't know if McKinnon. I think maybe Crosby got moved up for a bit. I think they moved both Marner and Point off that top line for the middle of the game, and then they went back to it in overtime, and that's when they scored. Like they changed it because they didn't look good to start the game. So you know, it's like it's worked, but we've also seen it not work. So I would
yeah.
be very interested to see how they do it. I do think there is a select few things you can kind of pencil in. You know, I think game one, they're going McKinnon Crosby. They just are. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe it gets changed if they don't produce as well, but game one, that's gotta be. Hagel Sorelli are so good together. They play
See,
that
but I'm not
shutdown
even
role
fully
they want in
convinced that
depth.
Sorelli's on Team Canada. I think he's kind of in that
I
mix
think
of
I think
him,
some people aren't. I
Konechny, and Sam Bennett. I think are kind of three that
mhm. I
might
think
might get passed by some other guys that I think are going to make it. I think
he's
Hagel still is because
Hagel is.
you need the wingers and whatnot.
I think the fight from last year, frankly, at the Four Nations helps his case as well. That's kind of a I will fight for this team.
I
Um,
don't think so because there's no fighting in the Olympics.
no, but it shows he's got the
And the
drive
F,
to be there for the
yeah, but the
team.
effort
Like,
level was already there.
yeah,
If anyone watched the games, you
the
already
other
saw
guys
he
didn't fight.
brought more. Well, it's
Like
because
they're
they're.
hockey guys. They don't think that in depth about it. They're like this.
Mhm.
He's a guy that would go in the trenches with you, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
But I think Sorelli would be a very borderline case. Very borderline. I think it's the fact that John Cooper is the head coach that and Brisebois is the assistant GM that gets him into 4C, into
but
that
that's
fourth
tough
role.
to. I like Shirley, but I would not take him over
He
Shifley or Suzuki.
I I
And if
I
you're bringing Sorelli, you gotta snip one of those two,
and that's the thing. I
and
don't
then
think
that's
if you're
a
bringing
tough
Sorelli, I
call.
don't think you can snip Suzuki. But like, it feels wrong to not have Shifley there,
I mean, I think you gotta have both of them,
but
and that's the tough part,
the
right? And
bottom
then
two
you're
centers of Sorelli Suzuki is pretty nice for face-off wins for defensive play. Sorelli, by the way, leading the Lightning in points and goals so far this season. He wants to be on that team.
yeah, I still just yeah, I don't see a world where Shifley gets cut or Suzuki because I think if Sorelli goes
I
one of
think
those two
Suzuki's
gets
he's getting
snipped.
borderline undeniable. Shifley should be at that point, but why don't I feel that way about him? I don't know.
It's a
I
great
guess it's just
question. I mean, he's right up there in the
his
top.
defensive his defensive play is just not good enough, and I don't know if he's I don't think he's good enough offensively to push the guys in that top six out. Like he's kind of in that almost we see it a lot with AHL players trying to break into the NHL. They're skilled top six forwards, but they're not good enough to be top six NHLers. But that skill set doesn't translate to the bottom six, so they just farm the AHL. Like he's kind of at that spot with the Olympic roster in NHL. Like
No,
he's a
I
great
think
first line producer, but
Shifley's gotta be on it. The way he's playing this year, it's the same as Suzuki, where he's making himself just like a lock to be on the team with the start he's
it's a
had
good
to
it's a good problem to
this
have
year.
to be looking at all these skilled players and which ones are we going to pick, right?
But I think
It'd be
for
nice
sure
if we
you're
had this
looking at
for goalies.
yeah, but I think you're kind of for sure looking at Sam Bennett and Konechny probably aren't on making it this
Bennett's had a
year.
rough start to
Um,
the year. He and it's the Olympics. You don't, one of his biggest factors is being a shithead. And yeah, he can still piss off the other teams, but he can't do what Sam Bennett thrives at,
yeah,
you know? Like I don't know if him or Tom Wilson get on this team.
I think if you were to pick one, I think this year they would go with Tom Wilson. Uh, But
I would
but
as
but
well.
point being, I think there's going to be a couple spots that are open on it. I don't know when they announce the full
Robert
teams. I don't think
Thomas,
that's till like
I think it's more
it's yeah.
December.
I don't think Robert Thomas makes it though. That's
I think no, I think
which
he was a
is
fringe
tough.
guy who could push onto it, but the Blues and him have had a slow start to the year. I think he's played himself out of it.
Well, and on top of that,
Unless he
again,
goes
he's
off.
then he's in that like he's in that conversation of guys of Suzuki and Shifley, and
Yeah.
he doesn't get
Suzuki's a
surpass any of either of those two.
Suzuki's a captain of a Canadian team. He's phenomenal defensively. Like you want those defensively inclined guys in that bottom six because and it's obviously also nice because these guys were talking about defensively inclined. Suzuki put up like 85, 90 points last year.
Mhm.
But, you know, that top six is just got to be just killer's row of elite scorers. And you got to be able to score still to make the team. But the bottom six, you do need, you can't be putting defensive liabilities in there. And that's why I wonder, like, does Shifley make it? Maybe Shifley makes it and then he's in the top six. And even though he's a great scorer, maybe Sam Reinhart moves down to the bottom six just because he's that good defensively. Like,
They're gonna
it's,
have lots of options with
yeah.
whoever they um, end up taking, but it does create a lot of good conversations amongst hockey fans because
Bedard's playing great this year too so
the way
far.
people view the way that the lineup should be made, how it should be structured, differs between a lot of people, and there's lots of different options. So it'll be interesting to see once it's all finalized, at least of what the roster is, and then start to see how people want to throw the team together in their own way.
Bruce Cassidy, I believe he's the head GM for Team Canada.
Doug
Um,
Armstrong.
really, Doug Armstrong, good for him. Um, I know it's some of the guys who were in Vegas in particular, who are on that team. Whether it's the coaches or the GMs, I'm not quite sure. Um, they need to grow the fuck up, and they need to stop keeping Logan Thompson out of this fucking tournament. Logan Thompson has been too
Yeah.
good to not even be invited, not even be the third goalie. Come on, man.
So from
We
what it sounds like is the way that they did it in terms of the goalies for the camp or whatever, we're not supposed to focus on that because they could only bring a certain amount of players. From what it sounds like, is they decide we're just going to keep the goalies to a minimum so we can bring more forwards and more defensemen to get a better look at these guys. Whereas goalies, it's kind of easier to watch them over the first couple months of the season.
sure.
So they kind of it sounds like they basically we just went with the guys we had last year because it was easy to get them out here and do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no, sorry Montreal fans, but no fucking shot Sam Montembeault
No. No.
is going. Like he's probably already lost
Dobesh
the
might be the
starting
backup
job
for Czechia.
that'd be that'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
But I mean, for Montembeault, I doubt he's going. Aiden Hill with injuries. I don't
It
know
would
if
be bad if he did.
he's going to be going. I think at the end of the day, they are going to run. I mean,
Binnington
I think
gets game
Bennington
one.
gets yeah, you kind of have to. And then I think Blackwood will end up going. I think Logan Thompson will.
I they better bring Logan Thompson. They just need to bring him. I think it's Binnington's net to lose because he's shown it in those high profile games. He's just one of those guys where his stats are mid upper 80s and then his poise is 99. Like he's just
Yeah.
got that dog in him in big games.
Yeah.
But we did hear those rumors that back at the Four Nations that a lot of those guys just did not like Logan Thompson in the higher ups and like not his game, like kind of a more personal thing. Whether they don't like that he didn't be that guy when he was in Vegas, or I don't know, maybe told a bad joke. I don't know. But it sounds like they're really not a fan of him. And it would be a freaking disservice to Canada to not give
Yeah,
him
I
a
think.
look when it gets closer or invite him.
Yeah, so I think the way he played across last year and the way he's played this year, like they're gonna look at it and be like, he's gonna go. He's made
Well, especially
himself
with we're not
just
team
too good to.
USA here. Like we don't have Hellebuck, Ottinger, Demko, Swayman. Like if
Yeah,
we had that and he didn't go, okay, fine. But
Canada
Binnington and
doesn't have
then
much for goaltenders to pick
probably
from. Like,
Blackwood.
Yeah.
Probably. And
Yeah.
he
Like I
has
think
he
those
even
are your
played
three
this year?
goalies
Like he's been
that
injured.
go. No, I think he's gotten back in now.
He started playing a couple.
I think so. Yeah, he played the other day, didn't he?
I believe it was Wedgwood against Tampa, which was really funny showing his stats because I think Wedgwood had like an 898 and he was like
Also, it was
seven
only the
and he
one
was like
game
7
Blackwood
0 and
played.
1.
So the one game
Yet
Blackwood has only played one game so far.
okay.
I was gonna say I do
So
remember seeing
ease
him in
him
a
back
game.
into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I just said, like the Avs are doing great with Wedgwood, so you don't need to rush him back.
Yeah. Um, but well, the talks for not only Team Canada but just the Olympics as a whole is obviously starting to heat up as we get closer and closer, and those final decisions got to be made. So something to keep an eye on. Something that'll be fun. Maybe we'll have a couple episodes or two down the line, just fully dedicated to talking about the upcoming Olympics because there will be a lot of teams, a lot of questionable roster decisions probably to be made, and all that fun shit involved. But we're at that time now where we are moving on into the final segment of the episode. Braden, you mentioned you had something here for us that you wanted to do here, so I will throw the floor to you and let you get us going
Yeah.
here on our final segment.
So we don't have to spend an insanely long time on this, but there was a post that was trending around online 1 or 2 days ago now, and it was just the very classic sports who would you rather have? And the two players in question were Nikita Kucherov or Pavel Datsuk. And I I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I am trying to bring up their compared
See, I
stats.
I hate these ones though.
Is it the era difference?
Yeah, because it's the same thing of would you rather have Connor McDavid or Wayne Gretzky? Because people say Connor McDavid is the overall better hockey player, but then people are like, well, Wayne Gretzky put up more points. And then people are like, well, McDavid will put up more points he played back then. There's no way of proving that, though. We don't know. Maybe,
Exactly.
but
And
maybe not.
and
You
that's
know,
why
it's
there's no wrong answer to these, unless it's Wayne Gretzky or Brent Gretzky. It's like, okay, come on. But like if you're asking a genuine question, like it's there's very valid reasons to pick either of these guys. Um, but I would like to know if you have a gut reaction. If you like some stats here, at the time of recording, Kucherov 814 games played to Pavel Datsuk's 953, so 140 less. For Kucherov, he has 48 more goals in his career, 39 more assists, so 90-ish more points in 140 less games. He does play in a bit of a higher scoring era. Datsuk did play through the dead puck era, so there is that to account for. Obviously, a huge part of it is also Datsuk, very good defensive player. He's I believe a three-time Selke winner. I I just want to get your opinion on it because I was looking online and uh for the most part, people are very decisively on Datsuk's side.
um, I'm just gonna pull up some here because this might help make my case easier. My
Fair
view.
enough.
Um,
But yeah, one of the bigger things for me was Kucherov has 3 Art Rosses in the McDavid era, to Datsuk's 0.
so this is kind of a cop out, but this is where I'm going to take it. Is if it was just straight up, who would you rather have?
Yeah.
It's Kucherov for me. Now, if it's who would you rather choose to build a team around? Like you've got no one on your team, you get to pick one of these guys and then build outward from them. I would pick Datsuk
Okay.
because I think overall, in terms of the skill and what they bring, I think Kucherov brings more to the team's success. But he's not necessarily a guy in terms of like a Datsuk that you can kind of build around. Datsuk's kind of in that um, not the exact same, but kind of similar to how Boston built around Bergeron for
A
all these years.
Bergeron or a Kopitar.
Uh,
Yeah.
even a Crosby, a Jonathan Taves, like some of these dynasties that we've seen. Because again, good offensively, good defensively, fantastic leader. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay. No,
Is
that's
is
totally
is I
fair.
see it for I can definitely see it for both sides. I can see the arguments, and so I think situationally is kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah. That's kind of my thought. Yeah, obviously I'm leaning on the Kucherov side, but I do think it's close. Um but the shocking thing for me was not the amount of people saying that Datsuk was their pick. It was the amount of people saying that like this is a dumb question. This is easy. It's a no-brainer Datsuk. And it's like,
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that
yeah.
part. That
And
it's a
and
no
it's not a
brainer.
no-brainer for Kucherov for me either. Like there's a reason it's a good question, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I think
at
it's situationally based. Yeah.
yeah. At the end of the day, for me, it was Datsuk. Kucherov's been voted the best player of the year twice by the other players in the league. Datsuk never had that. Like he never had one year where he was the best in the league. And like maybe that, doesn't matter as like it's not a huge thing, but it's something there that puts him apart. Um The only other thing I found was playoff scoring, which was very easy because they played in a very similar amount of games. Kucherov has played in 152 playoff games, Datsuk in 157. So only 5 games apart. Kucherov with 171 points and Datsuk with 113. So almost a 60-point gap there.
But on the flip
I
side, because I will throw out counter arguments. Datsuk's the one out there when they're holding on to leads at the end of the game, blocking
line
shots,
matched
holding it
against
down.
the other
Whereas,
guys, top guys and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It really is a
I
lot of that.
totally see the argument for both sides, absolutely. But my
Yeah.
final answer is, if I already had a team, it's just who do you like to add to your team? It's Kucherov. But if it's you've got absolutely no one, pick who you want to build around. I would build around Datsuk, I think. But
That's fair.
it's very close between the two.
Yeah.
But two very weird players to pick. Whoever picked that,
It has to be a Russian thing, right?
they should get their
That has to
credentials
be the
taken
parallel
away.
because it was very much, offensively minded guy versus defensive specialist.
Yeah,
Like yeah. There was a lot of people pointing to quotes for their pick as well, which I thought was weird. There's a lot of people bringing up like Zetterberg, Lidstrom quotes where they were all saying like if Datsuk wanted to score 130 goals in a season, he could, but he decides to choose defense. So people were like doing the math on where his points would be compared to Kucherov's if he didn't play the defense. And I was like,
yeah.
you
So
could
that's
just
just a
say,
lame argument by
I was gonna
people.
say that let's not get into hypotheticals on top of the hypothetical.
Yeah, that's just a that's
Just say the defense is
yeah.
important because it is,
Yeah,
right? We don't need to pretend with the numbers.
yeah.
But
I don't like that argument. Was that the only
yeah.
one, or was there others?
No, that was the only one.
Oh, it
But
was just that one. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
find more of those then. Maybe we'll have to run through some of those one day.
There's a lot of players you can compare throughout history and currently. So,
Yeah,
frankly, we could do one at the end of every episode and never run out.
just have infinite. But we are at that time now. We are at the end of the episode. Once again, we do want to thank all of you for tuning in to the 199th episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. Next week on Tuesday will be our 200th episode. I'm
Hitting
sure
our
we'll,
own milestone.
we'll come up with something fun planned for that one. But in the meantime, we are out of here for the weekend. We hope you all enjoyed this one. If you do want to talk hockey, do want to let us know your thoughts on maybe who you think should be on Team Canada. Oh, perfect timing because the dogs are getting rammy.
The dogs are barking.
It is the if you want to let us know your thoughts on who you think should be on Team Canada, who shouldn't be, you can let us know at any of our socials or in the comments on YouTube. Same thing with Calgary Flames. Should they trade Kadri? Where should they trade him to? What do you think is a reasonable return? And then one for the final one, I mean, yeah, just let us know who you would pick between Kucherov and Datsuk. If you pick Datsuk, get ready for some pretty nasty replies in the comments from Braden coming for you. But
As long as
that
it's
is
a
it for
good
me
argument.
for this episode. But Braden, one final time, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. I know people aren't going to love it because he hasn't been phenomenal to start this year, but he wasn't last year. Once again, Jordan Binnington is the star. Like, unless he has a sub 800% save percentage in the NHL leading up to the Olympics, that's his crease in Team Canada's to lose. He's been too clutch too many times for them not to be.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's fair. But that is it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice next week.